I got married. I got married. Really, I truly, and it's true, I mean, that's totally true. That's what happened. But, so, he, like, after, like, so we stayed there, like, they made the decision to be, like, really good to us. And Judson's was really great at that time, because there was, like, a lot of music and art and stuff. Several, they made, there were several, like, pieces of music written for Crispin. And I did a lot of stage sets and, you know, background stuff. And then we left, we went to another apartment. That was the first, like, kind of, from the very start. So that was like after that, like, major honeymoon sex thing for like about 6 or 7 months. Then it was like going and like getting into a place of our own. And then it was like suddenly, like, then we realized, like, we're totally different. Like, he says, I know everybody, and I want to know everybody, and I want to know more. And like, and I'm going to be friendly, and everybody's going to come to my house, and like, it's going to be all party, and like, that's who I'm going to be. That's who I am. I mean, that's who I am. He's like, no. None of it. It's like, no. We're going to be very quiet at home, and like, you know, we'll be like very insular, and like, and we'll have our circle, and we'll know people, and like, we'll be out, but like, we're not going to be like what you want. So that was the first time when it was going like, so this is about relationship now. It's like kind of like, okay, there was like, it was truly a divide. It was like kind of, you had to make a choice. You really had to make a choice. You know, like, do I want to accept this and like really give up like a huge amount of my personality and like what I want in my life for him? And he also has to put up with me being like, because he knows I'll be out someplace, you know. If it's not at home, I'm going to be out there. And so he had to put up with that. And it was good that it happened like pretty soon, because I think then we were clear enough to know like how much we really liked each other to decide whether it was worth that effort. Because it never stopped. It never stopped. That effort never ever stopped. Ever. So, you know, yeah. And like we decided though to go with it. Totally. We decided like it was worth it. That we loved each other enough. And it turned out true. You know. But like anybody like has looking for, you have to give up a lot to really make a relationship work, I believe. So back to the 60s. So we go out, and we're not going to be like many people told us you should be discreet. You should be like, you should like keep yourself under, just be discreet. And it's true, because you could get, I mean, like I said earlier, you get busted. I mean, you just walk down the street, you're holding hands, something like that, you could get arrested. I mean, it's just like, bars wouldn't let you in. So anyway, we're not discreet. We were not discreet. We were not. We called, you know, I mean, when I knew it was true, when I knew that like, oh my God, like I am a cocksucker. That's what I am. I'm a cocksucker. And like I am always going to be a cocksucker. And like that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be that for the rest of my life. And like Christopher's cock is the one that I'm going to suck mainly. And like so therefore my parents need to know. Silly me. I thought they'd be thrilled that like finally Donnie settled down. Well, they weren't. But they were nice though. They were good about it. It took them it only took them about 6 months to get around, to like go around it, you know, like to like just okay. Either I mean, we can either dump them or we can take them, you know, like as is, you know, like, and with that one. Yeah, then they did, they were really cool. And I thought, like, that was very courageous. That was, I mean, it was actually quite courageous at the time. Same with Judson, like, I was like making fun maybe of them, but like, that was very courageous. It was really, it was like, I think they knew, they were like kind of ahead of the curve. They knew that like the world was changing. And like the new boys that were coming out and like, you know, being gay. There wasn't gay, it was queer, pansy, faggot, fruit. You know, like there were a lot of words. Yeah, there were a lot of words. And they, yeah, and they, but it was changing. It was like, we weren't going to put up with it. I mean, we weren't going to do it. We weren't going to put up with it. We weren't going to like, we weren't going to take it. We were going to like walk down the street and be in love, you know, like, to hell with you. You know, you don't like it, too bad. You know, like, we're over you guys. You know, like whatever you were arguing about is finished. And then it like built and built and built, and there was like kind of like, well, I'll like move ahead to like 69. We lived a lot in the East. We lived all over the place. We lived in all over the place. Lower East Side, fabulous. Oh my God, we had the most amazing apartment. Oh yeah, this is another part I want to tell about about being gay in the 60s. This is another part about it. Christopher, after we were in it for like I think I mentioned I had a very heterosexual idea about like we were going to be like completely like monogamous and it was going to be the same as being married and all that. Well, about 6 months in, Christopher like abused me of that belief. He just like, no. That's not what it's about to be queer. That's not what it is to be a queer. And not only that, but also he challenged me. I'm not exactly sure that you are a queer. It's like because you keep talking about it. It's like, oh, it's you. Well, like, well, if it's only me, then like, you know, maybe like, no, he needed proof. So we went to the St. Mark's Bath, which was, oh God, it was like really, it was a grand location. Right there on now it's like, you know, anyway, tragic that it's gone. It was a great place. Anyway, he took me there and made me prove it. Rented like a booth. We had a booth and steered people into the room. So, which was good because he knew my taste. So actually I was like sort of a service, you know. So that was a well spent evening. And so I proved that I was indeed a queer. And we always loved, that was also part of, I think, that time. It was like, we loved like having like sex in the public, you know, like public sex. I was going to mention, like we would, well, the St. Mark's Bath was a great place. That was, and then like also the piers and the trucks. We'd go there almost every night. I mean, we were there all the time. I mean, we were there like absolutely all the time. We were known as either, depending on who you knew, we were either Donald and Christopher, or Christopher and Donald. Truly, no, it's true. I mean, it's amazing. Because most of you, I don't think, very few of you actually know the guy. You know, like only a few of you have ever met him. And it's just because he kind of retired. He retired. Anyway, so I'm back to the, so sex is happening a lot on the street. World's Fair, they're like the police kind of cracked down because of the World's Fair. And then they got the habit. They did the same thing as 9/11. It's exactly the same thing. I mean, the same pattern, where they got permission to like be abusive. And then after, like even after the World's Fair was over, like, I mean, it was all about like clean streets, you know, like we don't have the fags out there on the street. Because, I mean, that's where you used to go. I mean, it was like walking up Greenwich Avenue and Christopher Street. And it was just like, you know, like standing in doorways. Well, and we had no money, so like one of our biggest entertainments was actually going to the corner, like where the Women's House of D is, like where that beautiful garden is now. And like lesbians that have these huge fights with each other, or like express their like eternal love. It was the most entertaining corner. Like for no money, and then you go over to the trucks and get, have some sex. And they were great. The trucks and the piers, they were just fabulous. But again, it was just kind of the cops. I don't know. There was this level that like started getting angrier and angrier, and more hostile, and for over nothing. They would over nothing. They would just bust you, or just hassle you, just really be mean. Bars, there was just, a lot of bars, they wouldn't even let us in because we just looked too queer. I mean, we were just way too queer, and it's like, you can't come in here because you're just, you'll get us closed down, which is possible. I mean, that was city ordinances, like if men are doing anything with men, it's like, close it down. And anyway, so there was all kinds of sort of underground stuff happening though. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff happening. It was bubbling up. And one of the things that happened between Christopher and I, which I think was probably as much a cause of Stonewall as anything. It was just a couple weeks before, maybe a month before, not too much further. And we were at the place called the International, which had this really cool back room, and it was very popular, and it was a hot place to go. And so we were there, and the place gets busted, and everybody gets arrested. I mean, the whole place, the entire place, that was kind of unusual, because usually they didn't bust the whole place. They just take the bartenders and a few people, but they busted everybody. And it was just, this is really fancy restaurant now. It's on Charles and Washington. So the police station was just right around the corner. It was down on, 6th Street?
10th Street.
10th Street, yeah. Well, no, not the current one. The previous one, the earlier one.
I don't know.
Well, it's right. It's just down there. It's across from the grade school, and it's a co-op now, and it has this really fabulous cast iron spikes out front, and it's a really grand entrance. It's one of those really cool old New York City police stations. Anyway, everybody's standing on line, waiting, because I mean, it's this huge line. I mean, there was 200 people there. So it's this line going upstairs to get booked, and they just took your name and stuff, and they didn't arrest you. It's just they just took your name and information. Anyway, I was standing on line. This guy jumps out the window and lands on the spikes, and we're sprayed with blood. I mean, I'm just right nearby. I'm right near there. He's from Colombia. His father is the ambassador of the UN. His being busted is he just can't, he can't deal with it. He just can't. He just he feels so shamed that he has to, that's what he has to do. And everybody standing there was just so this can't continue. I mean, it can't. It just cannot continue. So just a couple of weeks later, it was Stonewall. And that's why it clicked. I mean, it was just it was so important to go there. It was so important to be part of that. I got one call, just I have no idea what's going on, but there were a bunch of queens fighting with the cops. And I lived on St. Mark's and 2nd Avenue at the time. And it was actually lucky, that was the only time that Christopher and I were divorced, because he would have never allowed me to go. So it was good he was out of town. No, and between my house and St. Mark's Place, just I called, called, yeah, then, no, like 10 calls. I think there were maybe 120 people showed up. Like, really, from my walking from like my house at 40.5 St. Mark's Place to Christopher Street, there was like a crowd, like developed, and it wasn't just for me. I'm sure it was from lots of sources, but there were like a lot of people, and it's like, I don't know if you like on all the videos they always say, and we thought it was over, and then like this huge crowd came busting in from Waverly Place. Duh. And we were weirder and angrier than any of them. Because we were even part of it. I had never gone to Stonewall. I mean, well, they wouldn't let me in for one thing, but like I never, I didn't even have any desire to go there. I mean, it wasn't, well, I'm in like Manhattan School. We're music students plus we're music students. Like we're like, I had like in 2 weeks after the Stonewall, I had like my jury, like my senior recital. I mean, it was like a big deal. Oh, I mean, like, well, that's why he was just like, when he found out what I did, he just came and he just abused me like intensely because I just totally destroyed my voice and I only got a C. So what? I still sing and I'm good, hey. And so that's like, I think that takes us up to like this 69, and then we moved to Brooklyn and became like really domestic. It was like, which was really nice. So we weren't like well, we went to a lot of like gay prides and stuff like that, and stuff. We went to stuff, but like I don't know. I think we just became involved in our neighborhood more, like, and just being like two gay guys, two men, living together and just being domestic, and we did that, and we've done that ever since. But like I've sort of, should I talk about sex clubs?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the next part. Well, also another part, which is like really interesting. I think we were like at the very start of disco. I do. We were like, it was this bar on like 98th Street between 3rd and Lex, and it was like this. It was like the first place in New York City where boys could actually dance with boys because they had some kind of deal with the cops there, or like somebody. I don't know. They had a deal, so it was like boys could dance with boys. And that's like, this is like 67, 66, 67. So I'm way early. And it became such a popular thing that like what they developed was then like, instead of just like playing like the jukebox or like a track or something like that, it was actually having somebody with a record player and like, and playing records, doing different records. Like a track on a record, like he had like 2 record players, and he was like doing tracks on the records. So disco, I mean, that's the beginning of disco. That was like it. And it just kind of developed from there. Went from there. It was like, and it was so fabulous. I loved that period. I loved it. It was wonderful. We used to go out dancing all the time. We went dancing a lot. We loved to dance together. We loved dancing. And yeah, we danced a lot. Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Well, there. That was the first one. And then there was like, the Electric Circus and 12 West was like a real favorite, and the Flamingo and the Garage and Roxy's and the Tunnel and
The Ice Palace.
Ice Palace, fabulous. The Saint, of course, Didn't love the Saint though, I must say. It was just
Bitches.
What?
Bitches.
Yes, yeah. No, totally. CBGBs, Pyramid. Yeah, we'd dance. We just loved to dance. We loved to go out. We loved to go out and party and we love to go out and party, and like, listen to fabulous music, just amazing music. Can't like, another part of the 60s, which was just unbelievable, was like going to Max's Kansas City, 60s and 70s, and 80s. Oh, regularly, like usually Wednesday nights, because that was when the new bands would appear. And there was, yeah, oh my goodness, one song, just stunning things.
Did you see Patty Smith there?
I totally saw that. And like at the Pyramid, I got to know actually rather well Madonna when she first started as a young girl. Yeah. No, you could tell she was a star from the moment you saw her. From the moment you saw her, you knew that she was going to go far. Yeah, she was like so totally committed to being grand. So, I don't know, does anybody want to ask me anything? I don't know.
Tell us about the beatniks and your interactions with Allen Ginsberg.
Oh, beatniks. Well, see, like when I came to the city, when I first, I mean, like I started actually coming to the city when I was like a sophomore in high school, because I ended up going to a high school. I'm from Pennsylvania, right? But I ended up going to high school in New Jersey, Bergen County, and I don't want to talk too much about that. But what was great about it was I was able to come to New York City because we were like, you know, baby boomers, so we were like on half schedule. So I basically had to go to school from 8 to noon and was off. I got a bus pass, so it was cheap, and I would go to New York City almost every day after school and like hang out in Greenwich and like be a beatnik. Or like you know, yeah, I never thought.
I didn't know you were gay.
I know, isn't that weird? No, it's stupid, like really stupid. Yeah. Goyish, you know, totally goyim. Yeah, just totally. No, I like girls. No, I met girls there though. No, I met fabulous girls. So yeah, no, I was into girls. I like girls. When I was in high school, I did. Yeah. But you know what? It's weird though. No, I don't want to talk about it. That scene then was just, it was really amazing because it was like Bob Dylan and Peter, Paul, and Mary and Joan Baez. They were all like performing in those cafes, and it was just and people were just singing on the streets and stuff. And I sang all over the place. I never did. I mean, you couldn't shut me up. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful time to be in to go to New York City. And I thought of myself. I always thought like when they came up with hippies, I was like, no, I'm not a hippie. But then everybody called me a hippie because I had a beard and you know. Well, I started a beard when I was 17. I mean, I was in high school actually when I had the first time I had a beard. I was still in high school. I did that because I got the role of Emile Dubé in South Pacific. And I said, I can't do it unless I have a beard. And they said, like, well, no, we'll put one on you. I said, no, it has to be mine. Like, yeah, then we had that big argument. We had an argument. So I'm not going to do it. I won't do it unless I have a beard, like my own beard. And like finally they agreed. They allowed me to have a beard when I was a senior in high school. Really. They permitted a beard. I couldn't do it because, no, it was impossible. It was like kind of like, I looked like I was about 12. You know, like really, I did. When I was like that age, I looked so young. I looked like a kid. And so I had to have something. And I knew I could grow it. I mean, that was the other part that was cool. It was like, and they were going like, you probably can't even grow one. And I was like, I'll bet I can. So this is all off of Christopher and I's Romance and Gay New York.
Yeah, so you moved to Brooklyn and you became more domestic, but continued going out dancing and
Right,
stuff.
and sex
That's where
clubs.
it is.
And one, sex
Okay.
And
clubs.
sex clubs, right?
Yeah, I mean, sex clubs.
You
were
didn't say
really-
so much about the sex clubs. You talked about dancing.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
went to dancing instead of
Yeah.
sex. See, I'm hiding things, I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
We're here to
sex
remind
club.
you.
All right, so we kind of like, well, first off, I mentioned like the piers and the trucks,
Yeah.
which we went to like many times a week.
Explain what the trucks are.
Oh, the trucks, yeah, the trucks were weird. Trucks were like, you know what, you know that like where West Street is, there was a raised highway. There was a big raised highway there. It was actually quite beautiful. It was beautiful architecturally. It was really quite beautiful. And underneath it, every night, lots of delivery trucks would park, not the whole truck, just the cargo part, you know, the van part. And they would be like empty, and they could be there for like a couple weeks. So you would kind of go around the trucks, you just like walk around, and like if there was a door open, like peek inside and see if there were people in there. And you could go in there, and there could be like one person there, there could be 20 people there. You don't know. You just go, and you don't know who they are, because it's like totally black.
Like Storage Wars.
And it was weird. It was a very strange scene. It was a very strange scene. I didn't totally love it, because like sometimes like you would find out who it was that you were doing it. No, this is no, it was not. It wasn't just that. It was also, I don't know. It just got kind of tiresome too. It was like kind of very predictive. You kind of always knew what was going to happen when you went in. You know, like, so it was kind of like the back rooms were like that too, at the same period. You know, like there were, well, it's just like people just feeling each other and just touching each other and doing each other. It was great, actually. It was great. But what I preferred, though,
Sounds
what I
like the
preferred
Common
was
Sunday
because
night.
the total blackness was like I actually liked the visuals. So like the piers was like way fabulous. Oh my god! Like, because you could go there in the daytime too. You could have really serious, fabulous, wonderful connections in the daytime. And I actually took a very famous writer who wrote a short story about it because in the daytime, and it was an adventure. And they were all like, none of the ones that like were like open for sex were they were all damaged in some way. Like one of them had like the boards just like it was like a snake or something. Like it was all just like kind of like just blew up or something, like amazing. And then at the end of it was like this beautiful place where people would just like hang out and like sun themselves and things like that. And like naked, like you could be naked, because it was like nobody could see you, really, you know, like nobody would go there, like cops wouldn't go there. Yeah, the piers were just really, that was a really grand thing. That lasted a really long time, actually. That went all the way from, from the 60s, all the way to, I think they really kind of closed down like in the early 90s. Is that right? Do you think? Is that right?
Mid-90s.
Yeah, mid-90s, yeah. Yeah, and it was like kind of, it was so dumb, and they tore them down, and then they made those parks, which are, they're not bad, but it's just like there was something really great about them. And they were beautiful too, plus the architecturally, they had these like gorgeous like pressed tin facades. So it was like really high, because they had originally been like for luxury liners, so they were quite fancy, and and there were a lot of remnants of that. So it was also kind of like an architectural, archaeological site in a way, and that feeling about it. And then, so that was kind of introduced in like sort of the mid-70s. like 75, maybe 76, like around then, like really raunchy sex clubs started happening. Like the Crisco's.
Let's go get
That's where piss was like introduced there. That was like, piss became like a thing. That was the main deal there. That was the main part. Well, aside from the Crisco, they also had the whole. They had like the bar. The bar itself was like looked like a thing of Crisco. It was a little place. It probably wasn't much bigger than this. And then like it had this long, narrow bathroom, about the same size as the room. No, it was a little bigger, but not much.
Yeah.
No, and we'd get hundreds. Oh my God, it was such a crowd would show up there. And the bathroom was great because it had like this, like probably about an 8-foot long urinal. And like what happened there was like everybody would get into the urinal, and then everybody else would like piss on them, and like and it was this back of it was a piss thing. I mean, like where that came from, who knows? It just came out of nowhere. It just like sort of happened, like that suddenly everybody wanted to piss on each other. And then the toilet happened. The toilet happened. That was like right. That was like on the corner of Little West 12th and 9th Avenue, like where that happens there. And then across the street in the Triangle Building, the attic happened, and on the ground floor was the Hellfire Club. And on so there were all these like little clubs sort of happening, like, and they all just happened like right away. And it was just, and people were just, and it was kind of part of, it was, I always thought about it as part of manifesting and like being like we're just like we're demonstrating how free we are, and like how like we are part of this society, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna be like free sexually. That's what we're gonna do. That's how we're gonna manifest ourselves into this world. I felt that very strongly. It was like that was part of being queer. And then now we're called gay. Excuse me. Forgot about that. Yeah, like we were moved into gay, and that was several years before. But like now we're gay. We're solidly gay. That's how we're always described now in the press.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I wouldn't have come up with it myself. But I basically got stuck with it. So there it is. I don't know where it came from. I really don't. And it was like kind of I questioned it from the very start. Like,
Were you happier
Just
than
not
the
that
other
happy.
people around?
I don't know. I don't think so. Anyway, so clubs are like opening everywhere, and Mineshaft 1976 started, and I just was involved with all of it. I mean, both of us, Christopher and I, we were just involved with it. We were involved with like making them good. Like, yeah, I mean, being hosts, and like especially at the Mineshaft, like we were kind of hosts. And I immediately got into a club called Golden Showers America, which I still host every month, and that started then. That started in 1977, and and I've been hosting the party since 1985. So it was like it was a really it was so interesting, like and egalitarian. I mean, everybody like the amount of like love and freedom and joy that passed through like total strangers at these events. Oh God, it's like hard to imagine like being ever happening. Well, it happens at fairy gatherings, but this is like on a like seriously sexual fucked up level, like really nasty. Fun. I mean, just fun. I don't know. Like I'm using words like from.
Are these clubs getting rated at all, or like?
No,
what's
later.
the-
No. Oh
Like,
no.
why-
Oh
how
no.
it's so-
Okay, so here's the deal with that. No, that's a really good point. Because like after Stonewall, and after like the cops kind of realized we can't fuck with them anymore. Like we really have to. We can't fuck with them. But what they can do is they can fund clubs. that these people will go to. And they'll be like, almost everything had some cop money in it, almost everything. Almost everything, almost everything. And, but it was mostly, gay people that had.
It's still like that in the South.
Yeah,
But you have to pay the
yeah,
police
they all had a cut, they had a cut. Yeah, it was like really interesting, even and what was great about, like, especially from like after Stonewall, like the mafia had, their hands were taken out of gay bars. That was really good, because that was, well, not all gay bars, like say the Eagle, like the first Eagle, like down on West Street, the one like, you know, by Christopher, like where it first was. That was totally like, cause I had a romance with a bartender there, so I would stay until he closed, and like this guy, oh god, like, what was his name? I wish I could think of his name. Anyway, he's like about 70 years old. He kind of comes in like, he's in a bathrobe and like bench, and like you know, bedroom slippers, and he's like, he comes in like, to get the money. He's like, he's collecting the money. It's like this old Italian guy. He's like, Mario. This is so funny though. Like to see this guy, you know, like Johnny, hey, yo, just Johnny something else. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so once actually after Stonewall, like they didn't have, like, and the city decided to kind of give us a break, and like, you know, yeah, the mafia kind of like, so actually gay people could open stuff, but they still had to have to deal with cops. I mean, they still had to deal with cops. And one, especially the sex clubs were like, you know, because they were like, I mean, it was very raunchy. And there were boys and girls. There were female ones too.
Not mixed.
Yes, both. No, mixed. Yeah.
Nice.
No, yeah. Like there was one. Yeah, what was that called? Not Hellfire. It was fun actually. That was a fun place.
Pandora's box.
Yes, that too. Right.
There was one right.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of. The one Nancy and Sally had one.
Glove.
What? That didn't sound like it.
Yeah, they had a sex party.
They had a sex party.
I know. Oh, okay.
When did you become involved with the Radical Fairies?
Oh, yeah, okay, 91. 91. Yeah, and it was like a very good friend of mine who I had known at my club, at my party, who he had been going for years, John Collis, you might know him. He had been telling me for years to go, like, I need to hook up with the Radical Fairies. I had heard earlier this like story about like from somebody who said like that there was this group of hippies that lived in the woods in Tennessee, and they were called the Radical Fairies. And I kind of went like, you know, okay. Done hippies in the woods. No. So I didn't listen to him. And finally he just like, he forced me. He made me go to Blue Heron Farm, and that was like in 1991. Yeah. And I was just like, oh yeah, of course. No, totally. This is not my home. Yeah, I've been that all along. You know, it was great. Christopher, of course, was not amused. But he met several fairies. He does a lot of fairies, and he loves to dish. I mean, he was like, we dished, like we would just. And then what was great about him? Well, Daisy, you're a good example. Is just from like a minor amount of dish on you, he created. Do you remember that thing where he wrote that horrible thing about you? And he said it was from me, but it wasn't from me. It was like he wrote this horrible thing. But he would take little teensy bites of information and like create it into this entire novel of like sort of, it's like something like really twisted and demented. It was like, he loved, like, there was Trixie's not here, is she?
No.
But he loved, like, one time Trixie came to a party of ours, and it was just like, and I don't know, he said something about our recycling, and it was like, you know, which we do actually recycle. But like at the same time, it was probably because it was a party, it was all kind of, you know, a mess. And Trixie said something or other, and like Chris went, oh no, we would never recycle, we don't believe in that. Just because he knew it would just like drive Trixie up the wall. Which it did. And, and it was like, it was just like, he was like, oh God, so funny. But he was like, he just would take the other side of something and just to do it, you know, just for the fun of it, just to like make an argument.
bad fairy.
Yeah, totally. No, absolutely. You could just twist anything into like something like wrong, but like very funny somehow.
I was never unhappy when you weren't home when I called.
What's
Because
that?
Christopher would pick up the phone and I'd be on the phone with him for an hour.
I know, yeah.
I would be so entertained.
Yeah.
How did the two of you negotiate this kind of polyamory with such like?
No, from the start, no, well, he introduced it.
Sure.
And it was just like kind of, well, I think probably like a lot of it was like, we respected our house as like our house. And like, so I don't think we never had people over for sex, unless it was like a threesome, which we did that a lot too, actually, well, in the early days. So I think that was probably, I think that was a really good rule.
Was it ever hard? I mean, that's a long time to.
Not have to sneak somebody in the house.
No.
Like, how would you guys deal with jealousy? Did it ever?
No, I think, well, both of us, I think we're fortunate didn't have that gene.
Just didn't.
No, it wasn't like ever part of the, you know. Well, no, there were a couple times
Okay.
when like, for me, there were like absolute 3 total like absolute times when like there was somebody else that I could have like fallen in love with. I mean, like gave up Christopher for. There were like 3 times for me. I think there may have been more or less for him, about the same, I bet. I bet about the same. Like, because we were out partying, like, you know, on a regular basis, and you become friends with people. Like, I mean, I know people, like, they come to my GSA party for like 35 years. You know, like, I know them from before, like, 1977, you know, whatever number of years that is. Like, I know them.
Yeah.
Like, I've loved them all along, and have sex with them all that time. So, like, there are some, and then every now and then I did meet people, well, 3 is not actually all that many, but like, I did meet 3 where it was a real choice. So I made the choice, and I think that probably happened with him too. And like, in those cases where it was really, I felt really serious about somebody, as opposed to just having an intimate relationship with, like, on a sporadic basis, like at a JSA party. But I felt it was like important for me to like stop the relationship because I felt like I was cheating that person.
So, talk about the '80s because and AIDS and how that affected your relationship.
Oh well, yeah.
I mean, it's a whole decade. I mean,
No, and it started like for us, like in like sex clubs, it started like way before, like, you know, the noted dates, you know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we started seeing. Well, a friend of mine, he just like died. He, like a really good friend, just died like in about 2 weeks, and that was probably in around 1978. 79, 80. But it was like it was in the fall, so it could have been fall or winter. But like, nobody had any idea what happened.
Right.
And it was just so shocking. It was like somebody was alive and then he was dead. And not sick even, or, you know, in between. So we started seeing that, and, God, it's a hard time to think about, because it was really, it was just unbelievable. It was like, because people, like, one of the things was, like, going and taking care of people, like going and taking care of friends in the hospital, because the nurses wouldn't do it. And like, you know, changing them, and just doing things that, like, you know, for friends. And like, other people would come in like in space suits. And these are like people that you really love, you know, they're really good friends. Like, the thing is, you know, one of the things, like, I mean, that we lasted that long. I mean, I know at least 10 couples that would be like, they'd be having their 50th or 55th anniversary this year, you know, like, or more. People that got together in the 50s, you know, like, and yeah, it just went through like it was like wildfire. And we knew that part of it, like the other part was too, like, we completely understood, like in my club, I mean, we'd have, cause my club, like back then was like a real club. I mean, we actually had like elections and we had a board and it was like, you know, people had roles. And yeah, I mean, it's a real deal. And we immediately started like talking about it because it was like a lot of our people. And like, you know, sort of deciding like, and especially like kind of like just thinking about like what kind of sex they had. That was immediately like, we all kind of went to that, after a couple of like talks, like when we really started getting real with each other, it was like, well, so what did they do? Was like the first question. And like almost all the first ones were like got fisted. Like almost like that's almost total. I mean, almost completely. And so, okay, well that seems, okay, shouldn't do that. Or like, or be more protective. I mean, I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. I guess that's the question that I really have is like, what did your relationship with Christopher go through? Like, how did you make it through that period together?
Safe and alive.
And keep, yeah, like, did you, like, what were there particularly hard times for you in that, for the two of you at that time?
No,
Or
no, I don't think,
no?
no, not personally, between us, no, we became, I think we became as close and tight as we've ever been. I think that was like really time of really being, like really together. Because so many of our companions were, you know, other couples were dying, so like, and we actually did a lot. I mean, we did a lot of work. I mean, we did a lot of work for people. I mean, I think it was more like, I don't think I was, like, since the 60s, I hadn't been very political, but like when that happened, I like became not political, but like just like active, just like really seriously active and like helping people, going to hospitals and helping people. And both of us, I mean, we went together, we did it together.
You did together.
Yeah. And we didn't stop going out and having sex. And we continued. We just made decisions like about what we decided about like who we knew who was like dying and like what they did. Like a big group of us decided, okay, we'll like protect ourselves from that. We'll protect ourselves of that, but we'll still continue to do, you know, this, that, and the other thing. Like what we decided as a group. And we decided we could still suck dick, we could still drink piss, we could rim if you cleaned them up, we could fist if you like really protected yourself and him, you could fuck if we wore a condom, and that's what we decided as a group. That was a group. It was a group not much smaller than this actually.
How did you do it? Did you actually sit down?
Consensus, yeah. No, it was a long, it was like a whole weekend. We had a weekend. We actually we rented a place in the country, And it was like, we invited all the members of the Golden Showers of America, also known as Gentlemen's Social Alliance. No, we invited everybody. We invited the entire mailing list, which was like around 1,200 or so, and probably around about this number. Just about this number showed up, and we had a fabulous weekend up in the Poconos, and discussed it. And when was that? That was like 1983, August 1983. So it was, I'm not even sure if it was AIDS yet. Was it? Was
Not
it?
yet.
No, it was like RID, right?
Yeah, that would, yeah.
Yeah. So we were on it. We were on the case. We were on it. And then when oh God, in '85 then when they wanted to close it down, because like they actually closed it down on like I was giving a party that night. It was my piss party. Was that night? It was a Wednesday night, and we always had wet Wednesdays. Was at the mine shaft. Yeah, that was our party. Wet Wednesday at the mine shaft. And it was our night, and that's the night they closed it down. And then I had like people stationed, so like to tell people not to come, so like they wouldn't be, because there were like the news cameras were there and everything, and I was just like walking around, fuck, 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 fuck. Oh, you want to film this? Fuck, fuck you, fuck, 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 you know. Yeah, put that on TV. And I hated it. I hated they did it, and I understand why, but it was a lot of gay people. It was like, actually, it was probably mostly gay people. Like really was like behind this, and I thought, this is the place to teach people how to deal with each other. This is where to do it. I mean, you don't close it down and then just like send out a card or a note, send out a message, you know, like on and that was back then with snail mail. I mean, like, oh my God. You know, like, please, you know, like, where are people fucking? That's what they're fucking at. You know, like, it should be there that we, like, talk about it. And everybody will agree, you know, they will, you know, if you let them know. And, like, but now we're back to, like, everybody, you know, people are just killing themselves again, you know, it's like, nobody's doing it. Because I still, at my party, like, I have a lot of people tell me, they will not come to my party because I do not permit barebacking. And like, well, okay, but like really, I mean it's a piss party, so like really, why do you need bareback? Jesus. So anyway, so that was well, what else in the 80s? Well, then ACT UP, that was thrilling. That was all thrilling. That was really, we didn't really get involved. Well, Larry hated me. He hates me. He does. No, he does. He hates me.
Why?
Because I have a piss party like once a month and never stop, and like I will continue, and like I told him to go fuck himself more times than and he told me to go like I don't know. No, he doesn't like me. Even though like if I could I tell this like really small group is anything being recorded?
Yes, actually.
Okay, well I'll say that. One of my favorite people of all time, one of my favorite sex partners of all time was Larry Kramer's boyfriend, Roger.
You mentioned that, you would go to a couple, you'd go to
No, I would go to protests.
Yeah,
and
what
things,
about
but-
Christopher, did he go with you?
Yes, no. Christopher was like, no, what we mainly did, what we actually got into was needle distribution.
Oh,
Yeah, we got very involved with it. Well, just in church, that's where we're gonna have
Okay.
Christmas memorial. And we grow up at, where we came out at. Yeah, we got very involved right off the bat, like because that was as big a thing as anything. I mean, the needles were just, I mean, really, it was as much as anything. Especially in the beginning when you really didn't know, and you kind of almost thought like, well, you know, like maybe they were junkies on the side too, you know, like, you know, who knows? Yeah, so we're like, no, we really got, and the whole idea, there's the other thing, like they closed down the baths at every place where you could teach people, and also they don't permit needles. Insane, what an insane world, what an insane world, what an insane world we live in. And like, yeah, so we got right on that case, and Judson had a thing where they would make the little kits, you know, like it would be like bleach kits. And like, and hang out in the East Village mostly, and up in Harlem. And it was like, yeah, that was really, yeah, that was our mission. That's how we did it, you know, besides from taking care of people, you know.
When did you move to New Jersey?
Oh, 82.
82.
Yeah, we lived in this fabulous house. We lived in Brooklyn, in Boring Hill. Do you know Boring Hill? Boring Hill. What I think of that neighborhood. No, we loved it. We loved it there. We lived there from 71 through 82, and we had a house I would have lived in for the rest of my life. We made the most spectacular backyard. We had a spectacular backyard, truly. It was amazing. And the people that owned the house, who lived upstairs, were fabulous people. We loved them. And yeah, it was a great house. And we would have lived there forever, but then they had to move their job, and like, so we sold the house. The man and woman that moved in, like when they they were there for like 20 minutes, and we looked at, we have to go. These people are not good for us. We can't live with these people. And then they started to make demands. So it was all right, because we decided. And then we're about 30 or so. So like, we figured like, no, it's time, it's time to go. It's time to like buy a house, you know. So we looked all over, we looked everywhere in Brooklyn. We loved, this neighborhood, we looked here. You know what they told us in this neighborhood? Oh my God, this neighborhood is like really funny. We came here, like, because we liked this neighborhood. We actually thought this would be a good place to move. The real estate agent said, well, nobody's gonna, they may rent you. They may rent you, but nobody's gonna sell to you. And we're like, why? And they're like, because you like two men together. We know what you want. I said to her, I said, darling, what I got to tell you, dear, is you wait 5 years, then you say that. Go ahead. Yeah, that was like 82, like I'm sure in 5 years, it was like queers were here like in multitudes, you know. Anyway, so like here, Windsor Terrace, we loved Windsor Terrace, you know, up by the cemetery in Prospect Park, that little tiny neighborhood. Love that one. That's where it really wanted to go. It was the same amount of money too. But this is 1982. We're still going out. We are still going out, like a lot, like, you know, several nights a week. And the F train and the G train, not acceptable. Whereas the PATH train actually ran on time. It doesn't anymore, but it did then. It actually did. It actually did. So like you could be like at the mine shaft like blowing something or something. Oh, we don't have to finish. I have 10 more minutes. That's the level. That's the level. Like Christopher and I's relationship, how much longer you could say sucking something dick. Then of course we go home and suck each other too.
Right, yeah, sure.
Although he did, I gotta admit, okay, like so, I have to tell you the truth too. If I'm
Please.
Please.
Tell us a truth.
Part of it.
Yeah, so Christopher like kind of got, probably because he was just not doing anything that he was interesting in. This is like in the 90s. This is the 90s. So and it kept getting worse and worse, I think. And like, so he started drinking an awful lot. And I drink an awful lot. But he was drinking like a real lot. And so that wasn't working out. That was probably another really tough one where we both had to like, where there was a fork in the road. Plus I had found the fairies. And now I'm a fairy, and he's not entirely sure if he likes the idea of me being a fairy. Especially since I'm not just any fairy. You know what I mean? It's like, when I get into something, I kind of go all the way. So anyway, he was really drunk, and so then that was the turn. It was like kind of like, okay, like either you stop or we have to separate. And he chose to figure that out. And like, so I went with him, and I stayed sober with him for like a whole year. We talked about Lance hunting. That was really giving up some shit, I'm telling you. Yeah, and it worked out. It worked out really well. But also, he kind of retired from like a lot of like our previously runnings around. That's why hardly any of you know. A few of you know him. It's like because I know you're just so close to me that like I had to have you in, and it's a shame. I'm sorry that happened, but it was good though, and it was fun too, because like as I was telling with you, Daisy, it was like we had like this like intrinsic understanding of each other, like, and I would tell him like my story about like what just happened up at Destiny, and he would like reinterpret it into like his story about what just happening up in Destiny, and they worked together. They became like amusing. I'm sorry I don't have any like tapes of it. I don't have any like I don't have any. I could never write it down again because I don't have his wit. I don't have his wit. I just don't have it. You know what else I don't have? Oh my God! Don't use your lower. You know what? I can't spell. I mean, I look it up in the dictionary. I can't even find out like which part of where I should look. I mean, what is it? An E, an A, an I? I mean, I don't know. I have to look at all of them sometimes. And like, of course, all I'd have to do is like Christopher. I mean, he was like sort of like this Scrabble like demon expert person. I mean, he would like do in ink like the every day of the New York Times crossword puzzle, just like do it. I mean, it's like he didn't stop sometimes. He just kept on going. So he was like his language was like extreme. Yeah, that's something that's just like, gosh, it's like I wonder. Like, it's so sad that like such a thing is not there anymore.
Do you want to talk about what Christopher did in the 90s to make money?
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting.
Alright. Yeah, he was like a nude model. It's like a naked civil servant, just like Quentin Crisp was. Yeah, he went like mostly at Parsons, Pratt, NYU, like all kinds of drawing classes. And he was like a new model. And then also, plus, aside from that, also he was a model for like, this was like actually he made actually really good money. This was being a physical body for a second year medical student, where he would demonstrate like being like glands and like and prostate. So he would be like a physical
And he broke his
And he was very good at it. He was very, very good at it. He was good at it. Like, no, he did. He got tons of jobs. He really got, like, he actually.
So medical students would stick fingers up his butt, is what you're saying.
We were in the hospital. When we were in the hospital, oh, that was like so cool. Like a doctor that came by to see him recognized him. It was so cool. It was so cool. It really was cool. It was so cool. Yeah, and she was delighted too, because she told the story about like what. She actually quoted some stuff that he said to her. And of course, like, you know, he was such a wit. So like he would, you know, he would like pick somebody out and he'd probably like say something like, you know, to make lighten the mood. And like all these doctors are just about to finger him, and like none of them wanted to do it. It's like, so you'd have to.
That was the first thing I learned about Christopher, was that he was a prostate model.
Do they still do that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I'm trying to
no,
do that right now.
Yeah. You're looking for work.
Now I know just who to call. I know I have like 5 calls. No, they loved him. His co-workers, they were like that. They were like one of the because a lot of them are like kind of like in the medical industry. So like they also were like, so they came actually and like were really really helpful like in the hospital and everything like that. Whenever I had like major hissy fits, like they looked like. Either we talk him down or he's going to go to jail. So luckily I had some people to come in to, you know, sort of rescue me from some of those moments which, you know, I hope you never experience. Yeah, 90s, 2000s. Yeah. Not much, you know, like it got quiet there between he and I. He stayed mostly domestic. Oh, amazing cook. Always just like, I mean, and my house is a mess, but at the same time it's so beautiful. It's like so beautiful, and so much of what that is what he created. Like he created that. He made me do things, and we disagreed about huge amounts of things, so therefore so the walls in the living room, the parlor, and in the dining room are just like down to the bare plaster that they were like when I stripped them when we first moved into the house. And they're exactly the same way because we couldn't agree on how to do it. And neither of us would give in. So like for 30 years, it's exactly the same. Well, no, it took me a long time to clean it up. No, it's gorgeous. Plus it's gorgeous. Plus it's beautiful. Yeah, plus it's beautiful. It doesn't matter because it's beautiful. But like at the same time, isn't that funny? It's just funny. Yeah.
What did he want?
Oh, he wanted paint, and I wanted wallpaper. Yeah, but the paper, I'd have this paper from like 1812. No, it was like it was way more complicated than that. It was like I was saying before. It was like, I mean, one of the best things that happened between us was like being in a group of people, like we're pretending like we're not really part of them, you know, like I mean we're in like say a church social, so we're like pretending like we're not part of it, but like we start this bickering between each other, and like everybody in the room like starts to listen, because it's like, you know, because we do it on purpose. We do this whole entertaining like shtick, you know, it's like it's a shtick, you know. I'm gonna miss that. Because I can't imagine who else is going to like read my mind, you know, before I say what I'm going to say, knows what I'm going to say, and then makes a joke of it already. Yeah, it seals me. Yeah, or like, it gives me the best punchline.
What else were
What else? Oh God. Well, I have to do the dishes. I never do dishes. He didn't allow me to do dishes. No, he did the dishes. I mean, that was his job. I mean, he totally did the dishes because he didn't want to eat off them. Yeah. Anyway. Well, no, I'm a mess. No, I have to learn. Like I'm still like I look through like before I put them away now. I actually look at them again. And, oh, really missed that. No, really, it's a check. The last time I keep saying this to people, and like they don't really. I don't know if they believe me or not, but like it's true. The last time I actually wrote a check, I was 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea how to do it. I mean, like, I'm doing it, but like, same time, it's just like, I mean, it's like, it's a stretch. It's really a stretch for me. Yeah. That's like the thing, I don't know what, that might be the thing that like, things like that. They're like, I mean, when he really, completely, like, had that part of our lives, he ran that part of our lives. Like he totally ran that part of our lives, and it was like our life, and like I ran this other part of our lives, and it was like, you know, we really matched each other, and like now that's gone, and it's, you know, it's, jeez, I mean, it's really, it's an adventure. It is. It's like a real, true adventure. I've been using this metaphor and I really like it. I walked through this door, I opened this door and I walked into it and there was like no thing on this side, there was no thing on that side, there was no thing in front. It was, I don't know where am I at? But I could see clearly like all of you and the huge amount of love that I have from the masses and masses of people. And therefore, it's just, it's an adventure. It's like a new road, and it's like fine, and I hope like carry Christopher with me as far as I go. I'm sure I shall. You know, and like whatever the best parts of him that is in me will just never be gone.
Tom, did you say something about a memorial at Judson? Did you say
Oh
something?
yeah, I'm gonna have Ben and Ben are gonna sing it. I'm gonna have a memorial and Judson Memorial Church on Christopher Street. I mean, it's on Washington Square South and Tompkins, where we actually lived when we first got together. And like spent a lot of time there, and he did a lot of music there. Like they wrote pieces for him. Built sets, they did all kinds of stuff. Anyway, that's where we're gonna have the memorial, which is gonna be like a really fabulous show. There's gonna be like this. The highlight will be this serenade to music. Something I didn't say, and I actually like kept, and I'm really glad I thought about it. Is like something that like I think the thing that like kept us together more than almost anything at all else was our just amazing connection and love with music and words too. That was like the like music of one, like words. That's I don't want to get into. Music though. We had like these like playlists for sex. You know, like I mean, they were like it would be like Ravel, Pavant, Coron, the Funk, Princess thing. And then that would go into Mothdister Mahler Overture, and then that would go into like Das Lied von der Erde. And I mean, all these like sort of amazingly huge stuff. And Alan Hovanov, I mean, just amazing like range, like for the '60s. I mean, we were like just so ahead of it, everything. I mean, we were like really on it. And it was like, it was great. I mean, like, wow, goodness, the music was just, that was like probably as much a part of it as anything. Because it was really a dance, it was like a dance. Anyway, so we're gonna do Ray Fun Williams' Serenade to Music, which is for orchestra and 16 solos.
Woo.
So these will be two, these are two. And I'm one of them. And yeah, anyway,
When?
and that'll be on Memorial Day weekend, which I started. I'll be in right in the middle of Destiny. I'm really sorry that happened, but it's really the only time I could do it there. And so it'll be what is it, May 26th? No, I'm sorry, it's gonna be right at the Walt Whitman. Couldn't do it, like, cause I just didn't want to do it in June. I just wanted to have it in June somehow. Like, it's too far away. Too much else is in June. Plus, half the musicians could only do it then. So that's all I have to say, I think.
Yeah, take your time, get yourself there's some hot tea out there. Water. Cigarette.
Just about to say, waiting.